Welcome to Take It from the Iron Woman. My name is Susanne Müller, your host and the Iron Woman. This podcast is about empowering yourself and others to make real changes in the world. You will hear from everyday, smart, sophisticated, hip people like you and me. Not everybody has to be an Iron Woman to impress the world. Together, we will learn from the sports and business leaders how you can become a more successful person as an entrepreneur or a leader. It's one step at a time, one day at a time. Take your steps now. Take your big steps now. Join me on this journey to success. This podcast is being sponsored by Get Loopy. On episode 41, you can hear the story of Isabel, the co-founder and CEO. Get Loopy, get a 20% discount off your first order. GetLoopy.com. Take it from the Iron Woman. We only have special guests, and today we have Severine. Severine is originally from France, has been living in New York for 13 years, and she's a runner. So we want to hear from you, Severine. Who is Severine who's going to join us today?
Hi, I'm Severine Tarayre, like with my beautiful French accent, as you can probably hear. So been here for now like a long time in New York, for 13 years. And I've been running for not so long, like I think it's about like 6 years, 2014, 6 years.
And you mentioned you ran, I saw 50 races and also 2 marathon races. Which marathon races have you done?
I've done New York twice. I was hoping to start like running outside like New York like for marathon. Hopefully when marathon are back again, we'll do it.
And what brought you into running? A lot of people always say like, why do you run? Why is it so important to you? Why is it important to you, Severine?
It's funny because I was not at all a runner. Like in high school, I haven't found a good medical reason to avoid the running exam like in France. But I started like in my 30s. It started with my best friend in France. Her husband and another friend were running on one day and we say, oh, we'll go. And we did probably, I think we did 1 or 2 miles. And when I came back to the US, I started running a bit with my neighbor and she moved back to London. So I found another neighbor and then I found some running group in New York, and a colleague like asked me like sign with me like for a New York Roadrunner race, and we started with a 10K. I was like, oh wow, I've never ran more than 5. And then you get addicted to these races and you sign for more, you do your 9+1 and you end up like doing the marathon.
I think New York is, I don't know, addictive in a way. When you are close to Central Park, it's your second home. It's so easy.
Now, like I run like almost every day or every other day. I could not be awake without Central Park. That's my garden, like for shared garden with everyone.
I know. I always say like, you don't want to be around me when I don't run because I get, I don't know. It's not a fun time to be around me when I don't run. So you mentioned in your biography, it's about stress relief. How do you use the running for the stress relief?
Like if I don't run, you better don't want to be around me those days. I think it's really like important, like now that we are home all day, like and my kids also don't go to school anymore. So we are all the 4 of us in a 2-bedroom apartment and I need that time off, like to go out of the house. I like to start running early in the morning, like to do like to have a break like before, like really starting my day and make sure I'm doing this exercise, because if I keep it for the end of the day, I will skip it with too much work. It's very important for me. Like I can think and not worry about like work and just like look at the beautiful Central Park and enjoy that time.
And they say if you start early in the morning, actually you set the tone for the day. That's why you start in the morning.
I agree with that. Like even if I don't have a lot of time, like even going like for 2 miles, and I've been doing a challenge in October that was interesting. You had to go for at least 1 mile every day. And during that I think we were like 31 day in October, there were a lot of rainy days that month. But it's so great, like like you go for 1 mile. 1 mile is not a lot, but it's just enough to have like this 10-15 minute break before doing something else.
As I said, it sets the tone. And then the long runs, like what got you into the marathon running? Obviously, we know New York is very special. When you live in New York, kind of like a must to run the New York City Marathon. But how did you prepare for the New York City Marathon?
So I started with the half marathon. The more you start to run like these longer races, you were okay, the next step is the marathon. I had to postpone it a little bit because I got diagnosed like after my first marathon, half marathon, with breast cancer. So when I ran my first New York marathon in 2017, for me, it was a victory over the disease because I was finally done with treatment. So it was great, like to run this race and to put an end to 1 year that was difficult. And I trained with the Jackrabbit group. At that time, it was led by Coach Kane, because I didn't want like to just train on my own. I need the group support, and I still love like to train with a group for any long races.
Mm-hmm. And would you like to share a little bit about your journey with the breast cancer and the running?
Yeah, so it was very useful to have the running even for during the treatment, because a lot of like side effects of treatments are fatigue. Mm-hmm. I got a lot of that like during chemo and radiation, but I've still been running for almost all part of the treatment. During the chemo, I was doing maybe just 1-2 miles and probably more walking than running. But for the radiation, I was running a lot, actually, because I live on the Upper West Side. I went to MSK, was hospital on the East Side. And I think it's exactly 2 miles from my home. So I was running these 2 miles to go there. My technician also was a runner. So we were always like sharing like our experience on running on shoes, like when we were preparing for the radiation. So I use that a lot, like to fight like with fatigue, and also like after, like to try to prevent like any recurrence. I exercise every day, either cross training or running. That's very important. Also like mentally, like I think it helped me like a lot, like to afterwards, like I've heard that from many like cancer survivor, like 1 year or 2 years after, you have like your mental health like get like a bit lower, and like running was really for me helpful, and training for some races was really great.
Thank you so much for sharing. So this is really inspiring. What I hear is like, keep up the running, even if it's 1 or 2 miles, at least you're outside. And the other thing that I always am amazed, when you go someplace and you say you're a runner, and the other person is also a runner, you just become friends, right? So you have so many things in common. It's beautiful. Mm-hmm.
That's really true. Or if you run with a T-shirt from a race, you will always have someone like to stop you. Oh, you did this one. How was it? In between, I joined a group called November Project that you can probably like see like a lot like in the park, or it's a fitness group, and we usually train 3 days a week, like in one park at 6:20, 8 a.m. It's more like workout, like strength that we do. But a lot of us are runners. We run under November Project team. That picture was taken like at Shear Station in Brooklyn with a lot of people. If you've run that year, you probably saw them. Like November Project was a big sharing group.
What I see from the picture that you sent me, it says the best things in life are never given, always earned.
Oh, yes. This is from another type of race that I liked a lot. It was a RAGNAR race. For a RAGNAR, we were a group of 12 women, so in 2 vans. So we had like 2 teams. The way it works, it's a relay race. So I think we ran probably the equivalent of a half marathon, but it was over 36 hours. So your runner leave and you go to the next point and you change runners, and it goes on until it's the second van. So we run in Massachusetts. So the finish line was in Provincetown in Cape Cod. And it was funny because we were the last team, not in time. It's just that the way they signed us to the departure, because we're supposed to be by time, but they mixed it up and we left with a fast runner, but we were more like an average. And we closed the race, so we were always like the last one at each spot. And it was rainy, but it was such a great experience. So all the RAGNAR races are really great.
That's so inspiring. And again, I need to say it. The best things in life are never given, always earned. And what I have learned is like, you should brag about those events. And bragging, if you have done it, it's not really bragging because you have earned it.
It's funny because it's one of the lessons that I shared like recently. Like I think it was also in one of my posts on LinkedIn and in a public speaking group I'm part of, that you have to be comfortable being uncomfortable. The raining part is exactly that, is that we train under rain or sun. So in every condition, because the day of the race, you don't choose it. So if it's raining, like you have to go anyway. And my first marathon was also rainy. So I'm happy I did some training in the rain.
And I think a lot of people ask me initially, what do you do when it rains? And I was like, what do you mean? You show up, you go. It's not so fun. I like to run when the sun is out, but if it rains, and it gives a good story.
Mm-hmm.
Wonderful.
And after you appreciate like the next time when it's sunny. And it was the same like I did Staten Island half marathon. For some reason, Staten Island, most of the time it's rainy. Mm-hmm. The last year I did it and it was sunny. And I suddenly discovered that the course was actually nice and Staten Island was nice. It's just the previous time it was rainy and I didn't notice the landscape or anything.
Maybe when it rains, you look more down versus when it's sunny, you look more up. You're such an inspiration. If somebody would like to start to run or starts to think to start to run, what inspirational thoughts would you have for them?
I think like to have people like help, like this is also something that I've learned from training, is that there's always someone to support you. I was a bit afraid at the beginning to join a running group because I'm not a fast runner, so I'm faster now, but I would never be like a very fast runner. But there's always someone that will be at your level, or if I run with people that are much faster, we start together, they go, and I join them at the end, and we still share our experience, and we have them here like together. Like there's a goal, like we will go all together and get a coffee after, and that's the objective. There's always like people that can run with you or you can meet. And usually there's always like running group everywhere. Like every running store has a running group. There are like so much choices in New York. You cannot find one that fits to you.
That's inspirational. And we always say everybody starts at the same point in the race. Everybody finishes at the same point of the race. Some people are a little faster than others. So I think that if you look at it, everybody is participating and everybody gives their best. I think that's all we want.
Everyone like wins. Like I've heard like from non-runners, they ask you like, so did you win the race? Oh, but everyone win a race. Like as long as you cross the finish line, you win it.
Yeah. And you get a medal, right? So somebody said they were walking home and people said like, you must have won the race. And then she said, well, everybody gets a medal. So that's inspiring. When is your next race? We can always run, but not race.
So I was supposed to do New York Marathon again this year. So I push it back to next year or the year after, because we don't know, I think, like if there will be a spot for everyone next year. So hopefully it will be New York. But yeah, I try, like I'd like to start like run outside like New York, like do some races outside. I did a half in Austin, Texas last year or the year before. 2019. Mm-hmm. And it was nice like to be in a different place you don't know when you're doing like 13 miles or 26, you can see a lot of a city you've never been to.
And it's nice to discover other places. If you always run in Central Park, I mean, every little bend in Central Park, but sometimes it's nice also to run somewhere else.
That's a positive thing I've liked from the lockdown or the situation we were this year, because I explore more places than usual. to avoid like the crowd of Center Park.
And don't give away your secrets where you found some quiet moments to yourself, right? We want to keep that with yourself. So thank you, Severine. This was really inspiring. Good luck for the running. And let's hope that there's more sunshine for you when we have other marathons. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Always inspiring to talk to another fellow marathon runner. What are you taking away? I think it's that coffee at the end of the run. Why not? It's about supporting each other. It's about helping each other. It's about lifting each other up. Take it from the Iron Woman. We have episodes every Monday, every Wednesday. Chime in, subscribe on your favorite platform. There is something for everybody. Take It from the Iron Woman is also a book. You can get it on Amazon. It's a paperback or an ebook. And coaching and mentoring is also available. And for the nutrition, don't forget to order Get Loopy. GetLoopy.com is the plant-based snack. They have some specials. Thank you for listening. Take it from the Iron Woman.